Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Garo Zainab and I'm a data application scientist at ISA Esri. So today we're here together for another training session from the NOR webinar series. A very quick introduction for the NOR for those who are not familiar with it. So NOR stands for Network of Resources, which is an ISA initiative that promotes the use of cloud resources and platforms for Earth observation data exploitation. So NOR created this community of existing European cloud providers that give access to their services and help the users to work with Earth observation data to build scientific and pre-commercial applications, and also for research purposes and educational purposes as well. So the idea of this webinar series is to explore together the different platforms that are available on the NOR. The NOR portal will be presented to you by my colleague Federico at the end of the session, where you can go actually and see the different services that are available. You can compare them, you can discover them, and see potentially which ones would be suitable for your application. So today we have the pleasure to have Polar TEP, operated by PolarView. So I will leave the floor to David and Tina, who will be giving us an overview of the platform and its capabilities. For the participants, so please feel free to write your questions in the chat. We will take them at the end of the session in our Q&A session. And right after that, as I said before, my colleague Federico will be walking you through the NOR portal, where also we have a sponsorship process that allows you to have access to the different services that are available on the NOR portfolio. So the floor is yours, David.
Great, thank you very much. So today we're going to give you a very high-level introduction to PolarTEP. It's not going to be particularly technical, although we're happy to take more technical questions at the end. There will be subsequent webinars that will be more in-depth and more technical. I'm going to give a PowerPoint presentation to give the overview. I'll then give a quick demo of one of the components in PolarTEP, and then I'll turn it over to Tina, who will give some more demos. So PolarTEP is one of a number of thematic exploitation platforms that were created by ISA starting some 6-7 years ago now. There are, I think, 7 of them. The ISA had the foresight to realize that the amount of Earth observation data was growing at a rate that was going to break the internet if everybody tried to download it all. And so the concept here is to bring users to the data in the cloud rather than having users download the data and try to use it on their desktops. So PolarTEP is a virtual research platform. It's a collaborative environment in the cloud, and we bring together data, computing power, storage, and analysis tools. At the time that the TEPs were created, this was quite a novel idea. Since then, it's become quite common, and Network of Resources supports a number of such platforms, and there will be subsequent webinars on all of those, as was said. So we're called the Polar Thematic Exploitation Platform. That means that we focus on a user community that's interested in monitoring the polar regions. However, let me stress that we're not restricted to the polar regions or polar applications. We hold data for the entire planet. We can support people doing work in any area on any topic. It's just that we happen to talk mostly to polar type people. Our user communities, we divide into scientists, operations. An example of operations might be the ice services that provide sea ice and iceberg information to ships. And then northern communities, people living in the north and working in the north. If you want more information, the place to start is polartep.polarview.org. That's our landing page, and we'll cover most of the things I'm going to talk about today, and then provide links to more information and all of the services we provide. So how can we help you? Well, we can provide data access. We have lots of data, somewhere upwards of 30 petabytes immediately accessible. And we have many types of data, so we can act as a platform to help you fuse different data types. We already have done a lot of data preparation. We have analysis-ready data. So don't download your own data and don't invent new tools to do the initial processing. It's probably been done by someone else before, and we can make things much quicker for you. We can provide you with unlimited computing power, unlimited storage. We can, once you've done all of your analysis, we can help you disseminate your results. We can help you tell a better story. Don't just do PowerPoint slides like I'm doing here. Don't just present slides at a conference. There are much more modern ways to get the word out. And so storytelling is one of the things we're now focused on. And finally, reproducible science. We're very much supporting this idea of open and reproducible science, and we can help you share, compare, collaborate, and help you share algorithms as well as your data. So what do? Polartep is now a concept term for an umbrella that covers many different capabilities. Here we've sort of divided the world into 4, and more are coming. The first one, and we'll go into more depth on these in a moment, but first is data discovery, where you can find data, visualize it, and interact with it in a limited way. This is the most basic step. If for many users, that's enough. The next level would be to actually start programming for analysis, and we support Jupyter notebooks. Most of our users use Python. We could support other languages. We also support machine learning, so that's also a way of developing algorithms to analyze data, a little bit more sophisticated. And then once you have an algorithm and you want to do mass processing, we provide an execution environment without the overhead of the machine learning or the IDE. And we have data cube capabilities. As I mentioned, we have storytelling capabilities, and those are all in development. But if you're interested, we can support you now. We have lots of data, the full Sentinel archive plus other data such as MODIS and Landsat, et cetera, et cetera. We can provide data to the Copernicus services, which are processed Sentinel data. And we provide linkages to the world's polar data, which goes beyond Earth observation data. If in all of that you don't see what you want, you can bring your own data. We now provide near real-time data. So the traditional, say, Sentinel-1 data took 3 hours from satellite acquisition to being available to users. We can now provide data within 5 minutes of acquisition if you have an application that requires really fast response. And we're in the process of adding RCM, RadarSat Constellation Mission data. This is important because Sentinel-1 is the primary satellite used in polar applications because it can see in the dark and through clouds. And we lost Sentinel-1B a couple of years ago, which is been a bit of a problem. So RCM will replace that. So just going quickly through the different components. Here we have data discovery. We provide a full archive of Earth observation data. You can search it. You can bring your own data. We have a lot of visualization tools. Here you see a little animation of comparing an RCM to a Sentinel-1 image at the same time and place. We can do 3D visualizations. I'll give you a demo of that in a little bit. You can interact with the data. You can do on-the-fly analysis-ready data processing, customize how you visualize, invoke on-demand algorithms, etc. This is just an example of looking at data in 3 dimensions on a sort of spinnable globe. If you want to get into more sophisticated data processing, there's the interactive development environment on Jupyter Notebooks. We can provide different flavors of computational resources, file storage system, headless execution if you want to do more intense data processing. Tina will be giving you a demo that will introduce this a little bit. And then, as I said, you want to get into massive data processing, we have an execution environment, headless execution or Conda environments, and this allows you to do data processing with minimal overhead. We have a machine learning platform based on MLflow. We can provide access to GPUs. The MLflow provides tools to help you streamline your whole data flow for machine learning, from developing models and running experiments and understanding how different parameters affect the success of all of that. And we're adding storytelling capabilities. So on the picture on the left there is the Polar dashboard. It's a way of getting your results out onto the internet and adding text and other information that will help tell the story. On the right is a little more sophisticated way of doing animations in 4 dimensions, so 3D plus time, and it's a little bit more difficult to invoke, but once you've got it set up, it's quite impressive, and it's very useful for things like presentations at conferences, etc. So just a few examples. This is a use case example of use of the execution environment. The Greenland Geological Survey has been using PolarTep for some time now to do massive processing of Sentinel-3 data for albedo calculations. They started by doing the calculations on the Greenland ice sheet. When they started working with us, we managed to decrease the processing time by an order of magnitude, so over 10 times less computing required. They're now moving to doing calculations across the Arctic, and they'll be doing the Antarctic. Their algorithm is available within PolarTep, and others can access it and use it on supporting this idea of open science. Machine learning, PolarTep supported ESA Phelab in one of their challenges to do automated sea ice chart production. So we had a very large training data set that combined ice charts with Sentinel-1 data, and there were 121 teams. We supported almost 4,000 hours of processing time, and 6 of the top 10 teams actually used PolarTep, winning team from University of Waterloo in Canada. We're now actively supporting education. So this is the idea that professors can use PolarTep to implement course material. We provide a Jupyter notebook. We have a template for the use of the professors, and we provide resources so that the the students can do their work. They have a platform to submit their results, their workings. Professor can evaluate it, etc. We provide whatever environment's necessary, whatever data is necessary, and an account for each student. Tina will be giving a demonstration of this. And as I said, we're really active in the reproducible science community. On the right there, you see a little diagram of how we support each stage of reproducible science, from input data analysis through to the results, and then the dissemination of those results. And in the middle are different ways that this can also support collaboration. I mentioned near real-time data. We're working with KSAT. They have a portal called EOPort that can provide data depending on which service you use, from seconds to minutes after acquisition. And we have worked out how to connect the PolarTep platform with them so that you can automatically get your data downloaded to your PolarTep account, where it's available to you for automated processing, and you can get results very quickly. We've demonstrated this for the sea ice community. We can download an image, process it using machine learning, and get an automated ice chart within a few minutes of satellite acquisition, whereas the ice services currently take from 12 to 24 hours to do the same thing. So that's it for the presentation. We're going to give you demonstrations of 3 things. I'm going to start actually with the PolarTep viewer, which is the second bullet there, and then Tina's going to tell you how to get started and register, and then give an example for the education template that I mentioned. So just let me get set up here. Okay, this is the PolarTep viewer. This is the first component that I mentioned. It's really easy to use. It's easy to get access. It's free. We just provide it as a service. If you're familiar with Sentinel Hub, this is a customized version of the EO browser that they provide. You can use a lot of the functionality without even registering. If you want to start storing things, you need to register for an account, but that's free. You'll see up here that I'm logged in. So on the left here, we have the catalog that we provide. You'll see all of the Sentinel satellites, Landsat, MODIS, etc., plus some other reasonably polar focused data. If you don't see the data you want here, you can, well, first of all, you can talk to us and maybe we can provide it, but you can also bring your own data. So up here under themes, you'll see some of the data that I've brought in. So I've got some RCM data here and some data from the near real-time data from EOPort, etc. Once you've looked at data and you want to save a particular view of some data to come back to, you can use what are called pins. So here are my pins. And for example, I have here a Sentinel-2 image. This is actually Svalbard. Longyearbyen is, I think, here. Nope. Oh, here. Okay. This is actually the KSAT satellite installation on Svalbard. This is the airport for Longyearbyen, and this is the town. Just as an example for Sentinel-2, there's analysis-ready data that's processed on the fly here. So I can maybe look at one of the glaciers here. I can just click on NDVI. It does the calculation on the fly, moisture index, classification map. All of this you don't need to analyze on your own. It's already here. Just to give you another example, in the slides I had talked about comparing different images. So here I have an RCM image of Grise Fjord in the Canadian Arctic. I can say put it into compare, and I can go back and get a Sentinel-1 image for the same place and time, put it into compare, and do a swipe here and just compare two images. I also mentioned the Greenland and with the work that Geological Survey of Greenland was doing on albedo calculations. So if I go to Greenland, we already have a lot of their data here. And I can call up the, theoretically, you love demos. I'm just going to do one thing. Anyway, supposedly data comes up here. We'll see if it eventually shows up. But we only have data for Greenland. And the other thing I wanted to show you was that we can go in and use on-demand data, access their algorithm, and do a calculation for another place in the world. We would put in a resolution, create an area of interest, and tell it to go off and calculate for, say, Iceland. That takes a little bit of time to do, but here you can see that I've already done it, and this is the type of data you would get for the calculation, which is the data you should have seen for Greenland also. So that's a quick overview of some of the capabilities. There's a lot more. We can do animations. We can look at all of these scenes in a 3D spinnable globe. We can download the images we've seen. Whole lot of power here, which I don't have time to go into, but would be happy to give somebody a more in-depth demonstration at another point. So here I am going to turn it over to Tina, and she's going to give you some demonstrations of registering and the education template. Tina.
Thank you, David. I hope you are seeing my screen. So if yes, I would like to guide you through the first steps and how. Sorry?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome, thank you. So I will guide you through the steps how to register and how to get started with the PolarTap platform and how to access and explore the educational template David was mentioning. So our platform is located on the polartap.hub.ux.at, which will be in the resources and links shared by David. And if you would like to participate, you can click on the button Set up an account, which will lead you to the registration site. If you do not have account yet, you can sign up and fill in your name. So I will create a new account here. And after setting up my password and email, I can use the sign up form. This will send an email to verify that it was actually me, and I will copy here the code. And after this confirmation, I need to fill out the information about me. So after filling out my name and the last name, I also need to agree with the terms and conditions of the EOX Hub and the Sentinel Hub, as they are underlying services. I also need to fill out a message, so I will write here exploring Polar tab for NOR webinar, and after saving it, the members of the Polar tab community will get a notification that a new user would like to get access to the resources. This can take a couple of maximum days until your account is approved, because members of the Polar View and Polar tab community needs to approve every single user individually. After this, and I will shortly here approve my account, you will get access to all the resources what Polar tab offers. So I already approved my account, and if I refresh the site, I can see here that my account status is active, and I can continue with exploring. So let me describe a couple of features of the Polar tab dashboard. The first thing is we have here a frequently asked questions section where you should hopefully find all the pressing questions you might have about the platform itself. So for example, what is a Jupyter Lab and how you can use it, if your data are persisted, and similar questions. Below are some bar charts and pie charts with the resources. So as a normal Polar tab user, you have some computational resources available to you, and here you can track them. So for example, I have here a file storage currently used none of my 30 gigabytes which I have available. I can track it over time, and I can keep track of my quota. The important link is here with deployed apps, so I have access to my Jupyter Hub environment. After proceeding here, it will leave me to selecting option of a profile I would like to use. I have here only a standard plan as a normal Polar tab user, and I also see here the resources I have available. So I have 8 gigabytes of memory and 2 CPUs. As a user, if you are working on a specific project, the resources can be adjusted to your needs, and if you need a GPU profile or any other resources, they can be added to a specific profile to your needs. So after selecting the options I'm most interested in and pressing the start, my new session will automatically start for me. This can take up to a couple of minutes as the whole system needs to start. After whole setup is ready, it leads me to a Jupyter Lab environment, and I will make it slightly bigger so everything is nicely visible. The first what you see is the launcher tile with a couple of icons and a couple of things to do. So you can start an empty Jupyter notebook, you can start a Python console, or you can explore things in a terminal, and most importantly, you also have here Polar tab specific applications. I will go directly to the catalog with the applications, and I will explain what we have here. This notebook catalog is serving as a starting point for Polar tab users if they would like to explore more in-depth available algorithms. So for example, the size algorithm, which David was showing in the viewer as a result, can be run and used by Polar tab users, or CCA ADUC3 notebook, which is producing another results, and the Xcube tutorial, which I will be talking about in a minute. If you would like to open the notebook, the simplest way is to just click on a selected one in the catalog and click on the execute button. You can also like the notebooks, which will give some information to another users that this notebook is working nicely, or you can comment your thoughts and ideas for others and for our team to consider them as well. You can also just browse the notebook, because as you can see, it is rendered with some results, so you can already explore what was done by the authors of the notebook. If you would like to run it on your own, you can click on the execute and here select a name. So I will just call it Xcube tutorial for a webinar, and by clicking the OK, it will automatically copy the notebook to my home directory. My home directory, or the user folder, is a persistent storage, so whatever you as a user store there, it will be available for you during future sessions. So users are encouraged to store all the data they might need here. If a user needs a larger data storage, the Polar tab offers storage via the S3 bucket or different options of a mounting storage. So if you are interested in that, please just let me know and we can discuss what options all we have. So after opening the copied Xcube tutorial webinar notebook, I can simply use the Control-Enter to run different cells of the notebook. But before I do so, I would like to mention another feature, and that's the kernels. PolTab comes with multiple kernels already prepared for users, so you don't have to select and install the libraries on your own. As David was mentioning, this would be duplicating of many steps. So we have many pre-installed kernels ready to use. Our latest version is the users EDC 2023 1st of October. And we also have here a curated notebook with calling G, which is using a GPU. We also have a Polar tab specific kernels with the Torch and with the Torch with GDAL. So for this example, I don't need any more graphical card resources, so I will just select the latest kernel, and by clicking a select, it will automatically be assigned here. I can verify that all the libraries are installed already by running the first cell, which should successfully import all the libraries. And it happened like that, perfect. Important thing is that using a Polar tab will directly mean that you have available credentials for Sentinel Hub, meaning that access to the Sentinel Hub data is very streamlined and very easy. So you don't have to worry about creating your own config, because this is already done for you. So I will just walk you through a couple of steps of this template. The first one is creating a bounding box of these coordinates and drawing the shape here. So we are based on north of Canada. Then there is a standard procedure of accessing the Sentinel-2 data from a Sentinel Hub and defining the data cube. So we are here accessing the append 2, 3, 4, and 8 from a Sentinel-2 data with a time period of 5 days. And after setting up this cube config, I can just open the cube as it is and read its parameters. So you can see here that I selected these 4 bands, and with the time series from the 30th of August until the 30th of September. I can also easily visualize the data because the data were already retrieved for me for this use case. Let's give it a couple of seconds because it is a bit slower. Perfect. It should usually just visualize the image you saw there. I think it is taking a bit of a time. So I will not go through all these steps of the Xcube tutorial. You are welcome to do it on your own. But I would like to emphasize on the fact that if there are not enough libraries you need for your use case as it is, you can for sure install more libraries into your workspace. And to do that, you can use the pip or the conda environment. So the easiest option is just create another cell, and with the exclamation point type install of anything you are interested in. So for example, I can try to install pandas. It should for sure tell me that this is already satisfied, but let's try that. You are also allowed to create your own conda environments by creating these YAMLs inside of a terminal. And to do that, you can just list all the available conda environments here by typing conda env list, which will show you the same kernels which I was showing previously in the graphical interface. If I would like to activate one, I can do the conda activate torch GDAL, meaning that now I have my environment activated and I can run all my scripts within this environment, or I can export the YAML by conda and export. And this will create me an exported YAML file in my home directory. I can then easily, that's probably too fast. I can then easily add more libraries to this, ensuring that they will work with the underlying setup for a GDAL and Torch libraries if I want to use something extra for my special processing. Going back to the catalog, I can also show you another notebook, which is this size notebook, which is working in a similar case, but using another libraries, and it needs some other installations. If you would like to contribute a notebook to the catalog of your algorithm, which you have prepared and tested on the Pultip, there is nothing easier than getting in touch with David, who would then ensure that the catalog is updated with the desired notebook together with the needed libraries. And same procedure comes for, I assume, also adding the data to the Pultip viewer, as David mentioned. I think I have shown everything I wanted from the basic functionalities. David, did I miss something important we wanted to show?
No, I think that's great. I think maybe we should see if there are any questions, and we can go into more depth if there are.
Perfect. That would be great.
Thank you so much. Thanks, David and Tina. Let's see if we have any questions. I personally was wondering if there is any L-band SAR data available on the platform, because yeah, for the multi-frequency analysis, I think it's super interesting to see how it looks like on an L-band SAR image, and we'll have like the penetration depth is higher, so you'll have more aspects super interesting for example, ice thickness and things like that. So I was wondering if there's any, I don't know, ALOS to...
There is not. And I mean, L-band will be an important part of our future. We've got Roselle coming up. We probably would like to get some of the test data for Roselle. The problem with the L-band is there isn't sort of a free and open L-band satellite at the moment.
Yeah.
So users would have to bring their own data, or we'd have to work with somebody to get some sample data. But
Okay, but for the future, I think it's super promising because there is so Roselle in 2028 maybe, and also NISAR in 2024. I don't know if it will be open, but it would be super interesting to see this multi-frequency analysis in L-band too.
Yeah, the sea ice community often works deals with the Argentina satellite, whose name is escaping me. But we can't sort of just distribute it.
Yeah. Okay, if we have no questions, so you can also send them to us later by email, either to David or Tina, or for the NOR. I will let my colleague Federico walk you through the NOR portal and the sponsorship process. Thank you, David and Tina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you, David and Tina. I'm going to share the Network of Resources portal. So to access the Network of Resources portal, we have to go to nor-discover.org website, and we will land to the homepage of the NOR initiative. Here we can have some information, some insights about what is the Network of Resources initiative and the numbers of it. For instance, we can see the approved projects or the providers onboarded and the service offering available. By going to the menu, we can navigate through different pages. One of the most useful one is the news page, where all the news related to the Network of Resources will be published. For instance, new services onboarded or webinars and so on. And by going to the portfolio webpage, we can have an overview of what the NOR portfolio is, and we can access it by going down and clicking on access it here. We will be then redirected to a new webpage, which is the NOR portfolio itself, where we have an overview of all the different services divided by provider. And we can do a text search or simply scroll down the page and find what we are looking for instance, the Polar tab. Here we have an overview of what is offered by the provider with some details here and with the collections available inside these services and the provider help desk link. This is important because we ask you that if you're going to request a sponsorship for a service, we advise you to first contact the provider to understand if the services you are going to request are really helpful for your project. Then, while clicking on the pricing wizard, you will be redirected to a form that you need to fill out to ask for services from this provider. First of all, you need to select which project type you're working on. You can select by commercial, research, pre-commercial, or educational project. We want to remind you that only research, pre-commercial, and educational projects are available, eligible for ESA sponsorship. So let's say we are doing a research project and we want to request, for instance, this service. So we click the tick box and we can here change the number of subscriptions, for instance, the duration in months and so on. By going down to the web page, we will see an overview of what we are requesting, and we will have two different options. The first one is to purchase from provider directly the services by going to their website or ask ESA for sponsorship. In this case, there are two options available. The first one is to select if it's an ESA project or not. So if it's an ESA project, click yes. If it's not, click no. And if you are going to co-fund the cost, for instance, we say no. Then we ask ESA for sponsorship, and we are redirecting to the form for the project itself. We need to fill out all the different fields, starting from the project title, the full name of the project coordinator, the project coordinator category, an official email address. We want to stress out that it must be the organization email address. we cannot accept personal email addresses as email address for a sponsorship request. The project organization name, country, web page, and address. Then we have the different sections related to the project objectives, where you need to say what are the objectives of your project, the final goal, and so on, the implementation methodology that you're going to use to reach these objectives, and the expected results. Then, and this is why we ask you to contact the provider first, a justification for the selected services and provider. We want to see that you really understood what you are going to request and why you are requesting these services, and the description of work within the cloud environment. As Zainab was saying at the beginning, the Network of Resources initiative is an initiative from ESA that aims to bring user to data and not the contrary. So we want to know what kind of work you're going to do inside the cloud environment. Then you can state the geographical area of interest of the project, if you are working over cities, region, country, multiple countries, and so on. And if it's the first time you have applied for the NOR sponsorship. If it's not, then you need to state the previous request ID for a previous NOR sponsorship request. And if it is an ESA project, you will have other fields to fill out, starting from the ESA technical officer and the ESA contract number. If it's an ESA project, you need to have an official ESA contract number, so you need to put it here. Then you have an overview of the services you are requesting and the possibility of saying how much you co-found the cost. The last thing that you need to complete is the expected date of submission of the set of slides by selecting a month and a year. We want to remind you that the set of slides is mandatory at the end of the project. It's a set of slides composed by 5 slides, more or less, in a PowerPoint-like form, where you need to clearly state why and how you use the resources requested via the network of resources. We don't need to say to see that you completed, that you reached your goal of the project, because maybe you work on it but you didn't achieve the final goal, but we want to see how you use the resources you requested via ESA sponsorship. Then you can sign up or not for the NOR newsletter, and you must accept the ESA privacy policy. The last thing that you need to do is to export the sponsoring request. It will create a PDF file. You need to download the PDF file, sign it, and if it is an ESA project, you need to have it also signed by the ESA technical officer, and when it's signed, you need to email it to the nor-sponsorship-request@esa.int. Then it will start the evaluation process that usually takes up to 6 days, working days, but it might take longer if the request is particularly complex and we need to ask for more clarification. That's it from my side. I give back the floor to you, Zainab.
Thank you, Federico. So if you have any questions about the NOR sponsorship, feel free to contact us. And if you have questions about the Polar TEP, feel free again to contact Tina and David. If there are no further questions, we will close the session here. Thank you so much for attending. Thanks, David and Tina and Federico, for the presentations. And for the participants, we will send you a survey, so please feel free to fill it in and send it off. Want to know your feedback and to see how to enhance the training initiative in the future. Yes, hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.